been a rough week for the Los Angeles Dodgers on the field, and it might become pretty tough for them off the field, too.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. The best way to get a hold of us is right here on the YouTube channel. It's hot here in Los Angeles County. My fan is going, but who's not hot are the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll be talking about some of the playoff seeding implications of what happened this week, a couple losses that are key for some other teams, and also, this is not a court of law, but some pretty sleazy things are happening with the Los Angeles Dodgers off the field. And as I hinted at before, sleaziness is the best case scenario. But let's stay on the field first, because we had an old-fashioned pitchers duel. And let me tell you something. Do you know what I love? I love old-fashioned pitchers duels. I love games where the starting pitcher's talent, personality, and ability are part of the enjoyment of the game. That's what I love about starting pitchers who go deep into the game. That's one of the things that drives me crazy about pulling the pitcher after 5 1/3 innings. First of all, have we seen any evidence that that works? Secondly, have you noticed how many bullpens are worn to the nub right around now? Maybe, again, just maybe, you don't just focus on pitchers throwing a million miles an hour trying to strike out everyone. Maybe you pitch to contact and trust the defense, get through some innings, and you won't be sick going like, well, the starting pitcher, he faced the lineup once, and that's too much. So we're going to go to our high leverage relievers in the fourth. You know, he's up to it. He's going to be 158 appearances this year. You're seeing everyone is crawling to the finish line with their absolutely battered bullpens right now, which makes the game that took place between Los Angeles and Atlanta today really, really refreshing in front of 39,000 fans in Truist Park. Baldwin started the game, the leadoff hitter, your catcher, Drake Baldwin, led off the game against Yamamoto. And he homered to lead off the first. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there is all the scoring in the game. A leadoff home run in the first, boom, that's it. Now, Yamamoto pitched pretty dang well. He pitched into the 7th inning, and they did something which is really an astonishing concept, which is they let Yamamoto pitch until he needed relief. And he pitched into the 7th inning. Dreyer came in, inherited a pair of runners, stranded them both. And Yamamoto pitched 6 1/3 innings, allowed 1 run, struck out 8, and let up the 1 home run. Hernandez pitched the 8th inning. But right there, isn't that an amazing concept? Your pitcher is pitching well, and when he needed relief, he got it. And maybe, just maybe, you have a pitcher work through at least one jam before you automatically go to the bullpen. Well, Yamamoto was shelled compared to what happened on the other side, as Chris Sale, God, the Red Sox could really use a player like Chris Sale right around now, went the distance. And it looked like he was going to end the game on a bang-bang double play in the 9th, and instant replay ruled, I don't 100% agree with it, but instant replay ruled that he was safe at first, and Sale said, I don't care. And he wound up striking out his 11th batter. Struck out 11 batters, didn't walk anybody, let up 5 hits, scattered 5 hits, and he wound up pitching. What was total pitching count? He threw 109 pitches in 9 innings and still got the high strikeout total. Again, he let up the 5 hits, worked his way through the game, a 1-0 game. Total running time, was this a movie? Was 2 hours and 18 minutes. And it was an Yamamoto and Sale matchup. This is one of the things that is a unique aspect to Major League Baseball when you have the starting pitchers going head to head and they both put their thumbprint on a game. I think I've said this before, but the one game I ever went to in Atlanta was early in the 1998 season between Curt Schilling, he was with the Phillies at the time, and Greg Maddux. The final score was 2-1. The entire game was played under 2 hours, and the two starting pitchers absolutely were throwing BBs. When you have a starting pitcher who's able to pitch, maybe, just maybe, you let them work through the inning. Okay? You make them work through a couple of jams instead of always assuming the bullpen can do the job. Well, there was another solid pitching performance. Jacob Misiorowski. Now, he didn't go deep into as deep in the game. It was it had been rainy. The mound wasn't in a great situation, but even then, he gave him 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and improved his record. I'm not a big fan of the win-loss record. He improved that to 14-5, but even without his best stuff, he gave him 6 solid innings. His ERA rose to 1.73. And the Milwaukee Brewers won the game. Now, there are playoff implications here. A very, very important thing to keep in mind about the Brewers and the Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Brewers are now 3 games ahead of Los Angeles. If they just match LA, even with the even play just 2 games worse than LA for the final, there's roughly 30 some odd games left. Not a huge chunk of the season. Match LA, and you're gonna get a bye in the National League wild card. You want to play the wild card series. Here's where it gets really interesting. There are, how many games are there left? Let's I'm not very good at math. I don't claim to be good at math. I want to end the rumor that I'm good at math. So I'm going to figure this out myself. The LA Dodgers currently have remaining in their schedule. What is it now? So minus 54 is they have 28 games left. Less than 30. They have 28 games left. Same total for the Atlanta Braves. If the Braves, over 28 games, not over 162, over 28 games, play 1 game better than Los Angeles, 1, and the Brewers keep pace in their final 28 games. If the Brewers keep pace and the Braves play 1 game better than LA, then the Braves will get the bye because the Braves won the season series. And that would put LA in a situation where they'd have to play a wild card series. Now, they did last year, and they wound up sweeping Cincinnati in 2. But they would be facing, right now, it looks like they'd be facing either Philadelphia, San Diego, or Arizona. I've said that Philadelphia would be the absolute biggest threat to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And if you want to see the Dodgers eliminated for the postseason, you should probably be rooting for a Phillies-Dodgers matchup in the wild card series, because do I think the Phillies are better than the Dodgers over 162 games? No. Would they be better than them in 3 games? Possibly. They've got the pitching to match up with them. So this was a bad week for LA, because the Braves don't have to, as I said, just play 1 game better over 28 games. And the Dodgers, even if they wound up eliminating Philadelphia, Arizona, or San Diego, they would have to burn through Yamamoto. And they'd have to burn through whoever they're going to do with their number 2 star, which means that probably Tarik Skubal would have to start game 1 of a division series. And while Skubal has had a fine career and was really solid for the last bunch of years, I'm sorry if it's arrested Chris Sale versus Tarik Skubal, I'm going Chris Sale and put them on their heels. So haters of the Dodgers, rejoice. I've never been a hater of the Dodgers. Some people have accused me of being a Dodger fan. Some people accuse me of being a Dodger hater. I've been very, very consistent about where I land with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But my stance on them is wobbling a little bit, because there's something I've always assumed about the Dodgers. And the more we're learning about something, well, quite frankly, that stance is getting a little wobbly. All right, let's hear from our good friends over at Indeed. Support for today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors at Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits you, you need the right hire. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers and candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and locations. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sometimes you take a look at an organization, whether it's baseball or your company, and when they have the right person coming in at the right time, it can make all the difference. So what happened to the Phillies? They stumbled out of the gate and they decided to pull the ripcord and bring in Don Mattingly. And guess what? For whatever reason, everything's been working a lot smoother. And that one great addition can have a ripple effect on everyone around them, whether it's the Phillies or your company. When you find someone who brings the right skills, attitude, and experience, it makes the entire group better. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need to find the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's do the trivia question, shall we? The trivia question was, what eventual Cy Young winner, born on this day, I did this a couple of days ago, recorded his first big league save during Game 7 of the ALCS? Harry Alderman had a great guess, Justin Verlander. Great guess, not right, but a great guess. Then Jared T. Hughes had a pretty bad guess. Madison Bumgarner. Yes, Madison Bumgarner got a save in Game 7 of the World Series, not the ALCS. He never played in an ALCS. Also, Madison Bumgarner never won a Cy Young Award. So you're a good everyday Sully listener. That was a first guess, and I can tell that. But Argonaut Comedy wound up getting it correct. It was David Price for the Rays in the 2008 American League Championship Series. Price had a weird playoff history. He had burst on the scene with that great save. He played a couple years in the postseason with the Rays. He was in the 2013 postseason with the Rays, the 2014 postseason with the Tigers, the 2015 postseason with the Blue Jays, and the 2016, 17, and 18 postseason with the Boston Red Sox. He bounced around, but kept finding himself in postseason. So there you go. And he arguably could have won the World Series MVP in 2018. They gave it to Steve Pearce. It could have gone either way. Okay, let's talk about this unpleasant thing. I've been very, very consistent about the fact that I do not believe the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I've been taking the attitude of, hey, they spend money. They have a lot of money, but they put the money on the field. We see a lot of owners who are also extremely wealthy who don't put the money on the field. And I also defended them by saying, hey, look, they also put a ton of money in revenue sharing. And my issue was never with the Dodgers spending the money. It was the other people accepting revenue sharing without putting the money on the field. And while I'm not a Dodger fan, I don't hate the Dodgers, and I felt the vitriol being thrown at the Dodgers were in many ways sour grapes. And my ire were more to the owners of the A's and the Guardians and some of the other teams that have the money to spend, could put a winning product on the field, but make the decision not to. Well, some of the things that we've been learning over the last few weeks and all have kind of soured my opinion of the LA Dodgers. I'm going to phrase this kind of carefully because obviously I'm not a financial expert. I want to end that rumor immediately. I'm not an investigative reporter. And watch Jeff Passon's channel has a great video. It's like half an hour, 40 minutes about this topic. And there's no way I'm going to cover all of it here. But there have been some dealings with the Dodgers where, as I said, the best case scenario, if everything turns up the Dodger way in legality and everything like that, the best case scenario is they're being incredibly sleazy. That's the apex, okay? That's the Himalayas, is they're being incredibly sleazy. And I don't think it's just sleazy. I bet we are about to find out. What we've already found out is pretty crappy. But what we probably haven't found yet is probably kind of, I'm guessing there'll be people being sworn in front of a congressional hearing about some of the stuff going on with the Dodgers. Now, look at, everyone was thrilled when the Guggenheim company led by Mark Walters, bought the Dodgers from the McCourts after the McCourts turned the team bankrupted the team and treated it like their personal ATM machine. Now, they put Magic Johnson front and center in all the publicity of the purchase of the Dodgers. Hey, Magic Johnson bought the Dodgers, and things are going to turn around. Magic Johnson was the front man. Mark Walters and the Guggenheim partners, who have more money than there is money, are really the people behind it. Now, we're finding out some things about the money that they use to purchase the Dodgers and some of the ways the money has been changed from this hand to that hand. The Guggenheim Partners is one of these massive conglomerates that own more things than we can ever imagine, have more money than that is really comprehensible to me. And whenever you have a huge corporation, a huge conglomerate like that, the chances are they're up to no good. And one of the many things under this umbrella are various insurance companies. And it appears that the money that was built up to finance the purchase of the Dodgers and to finance the creation of their regional sports network, which makes them incredibly wealthy, was made through the money of people's insurance premiums. That's the first thing that raises a giant red flag for me. I'm old enough to remember the housing crisis. I'm old enough to remember things like, well, they were propping this up on other people's mortgages, and they never thought it was ever going to end. And what happened? The mortgages collapsed. The economy collapsed. These companies collapsed. And who got bailed out? The people who got screwed over for their mortgages? No, the people who did the sleazy stuff. So it already smells rotten to me. Oh, you're using people who expect their money to be invested in very safe, steady things, so they have their insurance to pay out. And we're finding out that they are doing this without necessarily informing people about it. And there was a big lawsuit about this about a decade ago that was settled out of court. I'm not saying that's an admission of guilt, but I am saying it strikes me as, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Here's more money you've ever dreamt of. Cool it a while. So no one can ever say that they were ignorant of the stuff going on. So when you already have billionaires playing with regular people's money, you know who gets hosed for that. But another thing, I mean, beyond that, and things like like a loan comes from this part of the Guggenheim Partners, goes over to this part, so they're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and some of these loans, including the Delaware Life Company, were reclassified as investments from, they're unaffiliated. They're not things associated with our company, to, actually, they're affiliated. They're associated with our company. And they didn't do that out of the goodness of their heart. They did that out of subpoenas and people's phones being seized and investigations. So when there are things like investigations, phones being seized, subpoenas, and people saying, oh, yeah, we lied when we said it was unaffiliated, that makes me think something more than sleazy is happening. You're playing with common people's money And it's always the common people who get messed over for it. Really trying to avoid swearing. So people who do that, I'm sorry, are rotten people. It's not a political statement. It's something we can all agree on. If you take people's money where they're expecting to go to their insurance, they're expecting to go to life insurance, things that they could rely on later in life, and you're playing with it to build cable companies and buy the Lakers and buy the Dodgers and whatnot, I'm sorry, you're doing something sleazy. At best, really illegal at worst. And of course, he wound up owning the Dodgers the Mark Walters began owning the Lakers, and then they had to sell it, and they sold it in like 72 hours. I can't sell my printer in 72 hours, but somehow the Lakers can be dumped off really quickly. But the other thing is the evaluation of their cable TV program, which is one of the things that led to what money they contribute to the revenue sharing, was evaluated way less than it was. So the amount of money that they put into the revenue sharing, they've been pocketing literally tens of millions of dollars, up to even more than that. And according to the Financial Times, and according to several investigations, and also to ESPN, was that the tens of millions of dollars every year they've pocketed instead of sending to revenue sharing, adding up to $1.3 billion in cumulative relative savings over a 25-year lifetime agreement. So some of the money, tons of money that should have been going into revenue sharing and solving some of this competitive balance issue, is being pocketed by the wealthiest organization in baseball, who can burn money, defer payments, and are doing it by milking people who are buying insurance policies, taking loans from within the company, saying, oh, it's not affiliated. Actually, it kind of sort of is. You know what? This is not a court of law. I don't have to sit here and say I have to have all the facts in. All I can say is this looks like sleazy activities and illegal activities. And I think if you're a Netflix documentarian, start shooting the stuff now, because this house of cards is going to fall. And I've always defended the Dodgers. I don't think they're destroying baseball. You can argue they're saving it by creating a great villain and creating a team everyone can point to. And I've been there for the last two pennant clinchings, and I've had a great time partying, even though I'm not a Dodger fan, getting caught up with it. F them. I hope they get into the wild card series. I hope they play the Padres, and I hope they lose 30-0 and 20-0, and both of the games be combined no hitters. If you were playing by the rules which made everyone piles of money and put a great team on the field, if you were playing by the rules, I would have no issues with the Dodgers and call everything else sour grapes. But you're doing illegal stuff, then I'm sorry. I have nothing to say to you other than go F yourself. That's all there is to it. Now, there's a major question I have to ask regarding this, regarding the potential lockout and everything. And when we come back, we're going to talk about it. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations that know success, they know it's not just about talent, it's about everyone working together in the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. And you know what? Some of these great teams have great organizations. You take a look at some of the moves that like the Milwaukee Brewers. It's not just one great player, great coach. It's coordinator effort across the entire organization to put the best product on the field. And you know what? The adjustments that you make with the team, the organization, and within your organization is always important. And it can really make your business run smooth if it's implemented. Everyone knows their role. Everyone's on the same page. And usually that's what separates good organizations from the great ones. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. I guarantee you there are going to be some Dodger fans writing nasty things, saying you're just jealous and everything like that. No. I cheered for the Dodgers in the NLCS the last couple of years. I live in LA County. It's better for me if the Dodgers do well because more people want to talk about baseball. I've always defended them. But something sleazy is happening here. And I'm sure someone's going to point and say, you said the wrong thing about the insurance premiums. You said the wrong thing about this. Therefore, your entire argument is invalid. No, it's not. I don't claim to know everything about this. I don't. But it's not a court of law. And it is clear that people's insurance premiums, insurance payments are being used to do things that were not what they agreed to do. And that the Dodgers are playing fast and loose with other people's money and the rules of running baseball. And of course, we are looking at a potential at a work stoppage that seems guaranteed to happen. I think it's going to be about half the season next year, but there's some people think it may take the whole season. And everyone's knives are out and everyone's ready to fight. And this news comes out as well. And here's my question for the salary cap flat earthers and the people who think that this is inevitable. How is any of this the players' fault? How is any of this the players' responsibility? We need a salary cap so we don't spend more money. Well, there's no cap on the ownerships. We just saw how much the Padres are being sold for. There's no cap on any of this other stuff involving ownerships and what they can sell a team for and the evaluation. So it's a one-way street. And if you don't want to give someone a 10, 15-year contract, I'm going to give a really weird suggestion. Don't offer one. They all bomb out eventually anyways. When was the last time you saw a 10, 15-year contract where at the end said, man, all 10 years were great. We don't regret this. You think the Dodgers would love to, play with other people's insurance premiums to get Kyle Tucker and Edwin Diaz off their roster right now? And they're only in year one. But yeah, then don't offer one. If you want to sign your young players when they coming up through the system, be like the Brewers. And avoid these long contracts and have your money to spend on good players instead of sinking money into bad contracts. But none of this are the players' fault. The Dodgers are spending too much money, so let's lock out the players. Oh, these contracts we're giving are too long, so let's lock out the players. It's completely nonsensical. It makes no sense. The argument never made sense. I don't believe the whole, if there's a salary cap, it would make things more competitive. Really, then why is baseball more competitive than the NBA and the NFL? And don't say it's not. The numbers don't back you up. It's called reality. It's fun to live in it from time to time. And how does any of this Dodger mess have to go to the players? Why are we locking out the players for stuff the owners are doing? It's ridiculous. And if we had a commissioner who had their eye on something like this, and you know who the commissioner who would be doing something about this, and that would be your pal Sully. Vote for Sully, baseball commissioner, for a change. But if there was a commissioner of baseball, and we had one in Selig, and believe me, I am no fan of Bud Selig, a colluding owner I will point directly at him for the 1994 World Series being canceled. But and what did that do to this team, the Montreal Expos? But he did force the McCourts to sell because they were ruining a model franchise, the marquee franchises. Well, I'm not saying he should force Guggenheim Company to sell the Dodgers. That's above my pay grade. But every cent that the Dodgers saved, wink, wink, and pocketed instead of putting in revenue sharing, Every single cent of that needs to be put into revenue sharing now, dating back retroactively to 2013 now, for the offseason of this year, to be distributed amongst the other teams. And any team, and again, I'm consistent about this too, any team that got this much from revenue sharing has to be audited to show that all the money is going to the 40-man roster. If you accept the money, you cannot pocket a dime of it. That was a quarter. You cannot pocket a quarter of it. Every single penny. I got a penny here. Not worth much anymore. Every single one of these has to be put in your 40-man roster from what you accept from revenue sharing, because that's what it's for. It's not to throw a yacht party. It's not for vague things like, it's for scouting. No. Your 40-man roster. You're plugging that into your 40-man roster, and make the salary tax level be draconian, and a salary floor as well. And then you'll see the equalizing of revenue and everything. But you know what, Dodgers? I've been on your side. But I can't be on your side if you're playing games with revenue sharing, and more importantly, playing games with people's money, regular people's money, who just want to have insurance and a security blanket, because if this collapses, all those people who are expecting their life insurance, their health insurance, their home insurance, their auto insurance, that they get there, they'll be the ones who lose. And the Guggenheim people, who are every single one of them are swimming in a Scrooge McDuck pile of money, they'll get bailed out. That sort of stuff makes me really angry. And if the Dodgers are involved with that, may you get swept. So thanks so much for making us your first listen. If you think I'm a Dodger hater and you go, you're just jealous, look in the mirror and really think about what I've been saying in this episode, because you're wrong. Check out the first ever 24/7 YouTube channel on MLB and audio. Check out Locked On MLB Game Night for your second listen. And follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they call it now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Check out the In Memoriam video, which is in the description of the YouTube channel. And let's do the trivia question, shall we? Both pitchers who started the 1978 Bucky Dent game were born on this day. Who were the pitchers? Who were the pitchers for the Red Sox, starting pitcher for the Red Sox, the starting pitcher for the Yankees, who started the 1978 Bucky Dent game? Put it down below. Talking about how the playoff seeding for the Dodgers got a little wobbly, and how the off-the-field stuff with their finances, best case scenario, is really sleazy. And I'm guessing it's a lot worse than that. And no, I don't need all the evidence. It just smells like garbage, like a garbage can, like the type that the Astros used to bang and Dodger fans used to complain about. Well, there's something else that's garbage. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Give it to me, Dodger fans. You're wrong. And you can always call me Sully. I tripped over my outro. Let's go Expos.